I wish I could hear Wordsworth or Clare or Keats reading their poems. I mean, I think one possesses the poem more intimately. One almost gets the feeling of what it was like to write this poem. I think particularly of Robert Frost, for example, reading After Apple Picking, or Wallace Stevens reading Idea of Order at Key West. These seem to me to be two magnificent recordings, two readings which do more than all the books of criticism, and one likes to think the poem belongs to the poet, in a sense, and he is first right on it. Follower. My father worked with a horse plough. His shoulders globed like a full sail strung between the shafts and the furrow. The horses strained at his clicking tongue. An expert, he would set the wing and fit the bright steel-pointed sock. The sod rolled over without breaking. At the head rig, with a single pluck of reins, the sweating team turned round and back into the land. His eye narrowed and angled at the ground, mapping the furrow exactly. I stumbled in his hobnailed wake, fell sometimes on the polished sod. Sometimes he rode me on his back, dipping and rising to his plod. I wanted to grow up and plough, to close one eye, stiffen my arm. All I ever did was follow in his broad shadow round the farm. I was a nuisance, tripping, falling, yapping always. But today, it is my father who keeps stumbling behind me and will not go away. Poor women in a city church. The small wax candles melt to light, flicker in marble, reflect bright asterisks on brass candlesticks. At the Virgin's altar on the right, blue flames are jerking on wicks. Old dough-faced women with black shawls drawn down tight kneel in the stalls. Cold yellow candle tongues, blue flame, mince and caper as whispered calls take wing up to the holy name. Thus each day in the sacred place they kneel. Golden shrines, altar lace, marble columns and cool shadows still them. In the gloom you cannot trace a wrinkle on their beeswax brows. Poem for Mary. Love, I shall perfect for you the child who diligently potters in my brain, digging with heavy spade till sods were piled, or puddling through muck in a deep drain. Yearly I would sow my yard-long garden. I'd strip a layer of sods to build the wall that was to exclude sow and pecking hen. Yearly, admitting these, the sods would fall. Or in the sucking clabber I would splash delightedly and dam the flowing drain. But always my bastions of clay and mush would burst before the rising autumn rain. Love, you shall perfect for me this child, whose small imperfect limits would keep breaking. Within new limits now, arrange the world within our walls, within our golden ring. St. Francis and the Birds. When Francis preached love to the birds, they listened, fluttered, throttled up into the blue like a flock of words, released for fun from his holy lips, then wheeled back, whirred about his head, pirouetted on brothers' capes, danced on the wing, for sheer joy played and sang, like images took flight, which was the best poem Francis made, his argument true, his tone light. Death of a Naturalist. All year the flax dam festered in the heart of the townland. Green and heavy-headed, flax had rotted there, weighted down by huge sods. Daily it sweltered in the punishing sun. Bubbles gargled delicately. Blue bottles wove a strong gauze of sound around the smell. There were dragonflies, spotted butterflies, but best of all was the warm, thick slobber of frog spawn that grew like clotted water in the shade of the banks. Here, every spring, I would fill jam-potfuls of the jellied specks to range on windowsills at home, on shelves at school, and wait and watch until the fattening dots burst into nimble swimming tadpoles. Miss Walls would tell us how the daddy frog was called a bullfrog, and how he croaked, and how the mammy frog laid hundreds of little eggs, and this was frog spawn. You could tell the weather by frogs too, for they were yellow in the sun and brown in rain. Then, one hot day, when fields were rank with cow dung in the grass, the angry frogs invaded the flax dam. I ducked through hedges to a coarse croaking that I had not heard before. The air was thick with a bass chorus. Right down the dam, gross-bellied frogs were cocked on sods. Their loose necks pulsed like sails. Some hopped, the slap and plop were obscene threats. Some sat poised like mud grenades, their blunt heads farting. I sickened, turned and ran. The great slime kings were gathered there for vengeance, and I knew that if I dipped my hand, the spawn would clutch it.